She was carrying a child, limp, burning, dying. Nkem, Nkem, come back! The villagers shouted from behind, their voices swallowed by the storm. But she didn't stop. A mother running for her child doesn't hear warnings. She hears only one thing, time slipping away. The forest ahead glowed red with lightning. The shrine of the forgotten gods waited there, silent, ancient, breathing in the dark. Nkem fell to her knees before it, pressing her forehead into the mud. Her child's breath came out like smoke. Please, she cried, please don't take my baby. Take me instead. Her voice broke the night. The thunder paused. Even the trees seemed to bend closer. And then the whisper came, cold, deep, old. A mother's love is the most powerful curse of all. It said, are you sure you wish to trade your life for his? Nkem looked down at her son, small, frail, his skin hot with fever. She had already lost 3 children before him. She would not bury another. Her hands trembled, but her voice didn't. Yes, she whispered, let me be the offering. The forest went still. Then, somewhere deep within the shrine, a drum began to beat, slow and hollow, like the sound of a head breaking in rhythm. That was the night the villagers said the earth wept blood. But before that night of thunder and sacrifice, there was laughter. Before the curses, the whispers, the lightning, there was only love. Nkem was the woman every child in the village ran to when they fell. She had a smile that could mend a wound faster than herbs. She had waited 10 long years for the gods to bless her womb. And when her son, Obidima, came, the people called him Ezine's miracle. One evening, as the women fetched water by the stream, the oldest among them, Mama Chinyere, warned softly, when a blessing delays and then arrives with thunder, be careful. The gods don't give without remembering the dead. But wait, what debt could they possibly be owing? Let's go back. Years before Obidima's birth, when Nkem's womb remained silent after a decade of waiting, her husband Anozi grew desperate. The elders had whispered that sometimes, when the living cannot open heaven's door, the dead must knock for them. So they went, deep into the forest of Umuagu, to the shrine of the forgotten river goddess, Eze Nwa Mmiri. The goddess was known to grant children, but her gifts were never free. The priest's voice still echoed in Nkem's mind that night. If the child is born, you must return in 7 years to give thanks with something precious. Nkem and her husband nodded eagerly, thinking precious meant goats or wine or gold. They offered kola, made promises, and left with faith in their hearts. 9 moons later, the child came, crying strong, eyes bright as morning. But now, 7 years had passed, and the precious thing the goddess wanted was breathing softly in Nkem's arms. That was the debt Mama Chinyere meant, the one no mother should ever owe. As the fever worsened, Nkem's neighbors told her to surrender, to let fate take its toll. But a mother's heart doesn't reason with fate, it fights it. So when the thunder roared and the world turned red, Nkem carried her son through the storm, back to the same shrine where his life began. And that's where we found her, on her knees, crying blood and rain, whispering to the gods she once trusted. If the same hands that blessed you came back to collect, would you still call it a gift or a curse?
The shrine burned with an otherworldly light, not from fire, but from eyes, dozens of them, glowing faintly in the dark, peering through the mist. The air smelled of wet earth and forgotten sacrifices. Nkem clutched her son tighter. Please, he's just a child, she whispered. From the pool of black water at the shrine's center, bubbles rose. The surface rippled as if something beneath had just awakened. Then a voice, soft, melodic, and terrifyingly calm, slithered through the air. You return after 7 harvests, with tears instead of thanks. The river glowed blue. A figure began to rise. She was tall, her skin like moonlit water, her hair flowing as if underwater, though no breeze stirred. Shells and bones hung from her neck, clinking like quiet chimes. Her eyes were wide, too wide, and when she spoke, the air itself shivered. "Did you forget our bargain, woman of clay?" Nkem fell to her knees. "No, great mother. I came to give thanks, but my child is dying." "Your child," the goddess echoed, her tone unreadable. "The gift you begged for, the life you traded for with promises you barely understood," Nkem sobbed. "Please, spare him. Take anything. Take me." The goddess leaned forward. The pool reflected Nkem's trembling face, her tear-streaked cheeks blending with the goddess's own calm reflection. One of them mortal, the other divine, but both mothers in pain. "And you would die for him?" the goddess asked. "Yes," Nkem cried. "Gladly." The water surged upward, wrapping around Nkem like living chains. Her body lifted off the ground. Her eyes widened as the chill sank into her bones. "You speak of love as if it is greater than law," the goddess said. "But every river must obey its course. Every blessing must balance." Obidima stirred weakly in her arms, whispering, "Mama?" The sound shattered the goddess's composure. For a moment, a fleeting moment, her eyes softened. "I too had a child once," she said quietly, almost to herself. "He was stolen by the sea. I cursed the waves until the gods silenced my cry. Since then, I give life to others, so I may remember what it felt like." Then her tone hardened. "But the price must still be paid." The water around Nkem began to pulse with light. The goddess raised her hand, and Obidima floated gently from his mother's grip, cradled by invisible currents. "No," Nkem screamed, thrashing against the watery binds. "He's all I have." "Then prove it," the goddess said. "If your love is true, give me what I ask." Nkem froze. "What do you mean?" The goddess extended her hand. "Your voice." The air grew heavy. Even the thunder outside seemed to hold its breath. "A mother's cry carries power," the goddess whispered. "Your son's spirit listens for your voice. To save him, you must give it to me." Forever Nkem's lips trembled. To never speak to her son again, to never call his name, never sing him to sleep. The silence would be a living death. But the child's small chest was barely moving. She looked into his face, pale, sweat-soaked, but beautiful. Then she nodded. "Take it." The goddess's hand passed through the air, and Nkem's voice was gone. Instantly, she gasped, but no sound came out. A flash of blue light enveloped the child. His breathing steadied. His fever broke. It worked. He lived. Nkem fell to the ground, shaking with relief, tears spilling from her eyes, but no sound escaping. She reached for him, but her arms passed through a veil of water that now separated them. "He will live," the goddess said, "but he will never remember this night, and you will never call his name again." The goddess turned away, her body dissolving back into the pool. But as she sank, her voice echoed through the shrine one last time, low, almost mournful. "Remember, woman of clay, the debt of love is never paid once. It is carried forever." The rain outside stopped. The forest went quiet, and Nkem stumbled out of the shrine, holding her child close. He was breathing, alive. But when he looked up at her, his first words after the fever cut deeper than any knife. "Mama, why won't you talk to me?" Her mouth opened, but no sound came, only tears, only silence. And there when the villagers found her, kneeling by the riverbank at dawn, her eyes empty, her voice stolen by love itself. "Tell me, would you give up your voice, your very soul, if it meant your child would live?"